going to show you how I transfer my drawings from cartridge paper to watercolor paper. I don't draw straight on watercolor paper because I do a lot of erasing when I do my drawings, so you can see everywhere there's smudge marks from where I've been using my rubber, and if that was my painting paper it would just be too dirty for botanical painting. So here I have my drawing ready of anemones with a couple of butterflies and a ladybird. And this is the tracing paper. I use a lightweight tracing paper. It's the lowest quality one because it's very thin. If you use really good quality tracing paper, it's really thick, and then at the transfer stage the pencil can't go through and it doesn't transfer properly. So the thinner the better for the tracing paper. And I place it over the flowers and I trace the flowers individually. So I'm drawing roughly. I'm not doing all the detail. And for example here with the stamens, I'm just doing where the stamens are going to be, but I'm not drawing every single one of them. That will come later when I get to my painting. It would just take too long to do every single one of them. And I'm just carefully tracing my flower. My pencil is a mechanical pencil, 0.7 millimeters, and I believe it's a B in there. I also have a 0.5, which is HB. This one is a B 0.7. I quite like mechanical pencils because I don't have to stop all the time to sharpen my pencil, which I find a little bit irritating. When I start drawing, I like to keep going. Now I've finished my tracing. You can see it here. That's tracing of that flower. So I'm taking my watercolor paper and I'm going to put the tracing in place where I want the painting to be. I'm using little bits of putty rubber to hold it in place. So this is a putty, this is the Maped putty rubber, and I like it. It's a grey one, it's not a white putty. I like it because it's very soft. It's a little bit like blue tack, but it doesn't have any oils in it or any wax in it, so it doesn't stain the watercolor paper as I put it down, as long as it's a new clean one. I have this older one which is all mucky, and I'm not using that to stick it down because this is full of graphite and that would stain the paper. But this one is pretty much, it's brand new one, so it's not dirty. I can use that. And then I have the TraceDown paper, which is, I don't know if you can see on the camera, I think you can see a little bit, all the drawings for the past few years there. It's basically like carbon paper, but it's wax-free and it's grease-free. And the dark side goes down on the watercolor paper, and I just slide it underneath, ready for transfer. And then with another pencil, I'm going to go over the lines once more. And I'm using a colored pencil, because if you use another graphite pencil in the same grey, you won't see where you've been and where you haven't been, and you might trace the same thing twice, or you might miss out on some things. So I'm doing the center here quite roughly. So I can see here with the blue lines, I know where it's blue, it's where I've done it already, and it's already transferred to the watercolor paper. Where it's still grey is because I haven't done it. And for a very simple drawing like this, it's not that critical because you would know, you would remember, you know, you go around your flower, you go around your foliage. It's pretty obvious the bits you've done, so you wouldn't worry a bit too much about it. But if it's a more complicated drawing, and I remember once I was doing a commission of a Mahonia, and it was a huge painting. It took me 2 months to do it. It was a full sheet of watercolor paper with hundreds of little leaves, and Mahonia fruit and flower at the same time, so there was dozens of fruit and flowers as well. And I don't particularly like Mahonias. I mean, it wasn't a boring car park Mahonia, it was a fancy thing. It was a Mahonia Gungashanika. It was the only specimen in the UK. But still, every morning I would come down to the studio and think, ugh, another Mahonia day. But as I was tracing it, it was really difficult to remember which bits I had transferred, which bit I hadn't, and I ended up with gaps. And would you believe it? It took me years to realize, to work out that if I used a colored pencil, then it would be okay. Anyway, I finished the Mahonia, but I haven't done another one since. If I transfer this a second time for some reason, then I will use a red one. So again, I will know which bits I've transferred and which bits I haven't transferred. If you don't have the TraceDown paper, you can use the back of this and scribble some charcoal on the back, or maybe a 6B pencil or something quite thick and black, and then do the exact same thing, and it will have the same effect. However, I found that if I use something like this, I kind of lose my drawing a little bit because it's all scribbled black on the back of it. It's harder to see the line. And also, if I want to use it again, it's going to be a lot harder with all the scribbles on the back. So I do quite like the TraceDown. So this is gone, and you can see when I remove that, and I remove my little bits of rubber, that I have a transfer drawing. Now it's very faint. It's just enough for me to see without being too dark and interfering with the watercolor. So you might not see it very much on the camera. If I take it up to the camera, you might see it a bit better. But you can see it enough to paint on it or to ink it, which is what I'm going to do with this one. When the tracing is still stuck on it with the putty rubber, you can lift it to check if it's dark enough for you. If it's not dark enough, you can go over again. Now, all the things I've been using here, I will put a link below because I'm also writing a blog post on my website about this transfer business. So everything I've used, the name of everything I've used, will all be in the blog post. So this was how to transfer a drawing from cartridge paper or from a sketchbook to watercolor paper. You have your original drawing, you have your tracing, the TraceDown paper, and then the drawing ready to paint. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to click on like or to subscribe if you want more videos. Happy painting! Bye!